Hey, it's W5HRO. Well, I picked up a new little toy. This was an inexpensive amateur amp made for 10, 15, 20, and 40 meters back in the mid 1970s. And it looks like this one was made around 1976. It's basically the same thing as a Firebird 100. It's like a copy of it. And the company that made this was Astro Electronics. Now, I don't know if the place actually made all the amps for Astro and Firebird both. I don't know, but this was primarily one of those amps that was kind of gear driven for the CB market, because it had the 10-meter band position, selector on it or selection on it. And, it's designed for like 3 to 4 watts input for full power out, right? It's got a pair of sweep tubes. And I bought it and I found it on eBay. And I tell you the story on this thing. I've got kind of a funny story. It's not really funny, but it's going to work out in the end. So I got it. I took it out of the box. It still had the original box. The guy advertised it as looking like it was, just taken out of the box and used a little while, then put back in the box. If you look at it, I mean, the cabinet is in there's no scratches. It's in beautiful condition. I don't know if you can look at the back. Even the light's going to glare a little bit, but even the SO239 connectors on the back are still completely shiny. But I tell you what happened. I got it out of the box. It came in the original box it was sold in, and I plugged it in. I turned it on. Less than a minute, smoke started rolling out the top of it, and I was mad. So I got on eBay. I filed the complaint, or the claim to return it, and after I took it, I told the guy I'd look to see what happened to it, and I'm going to take the cover off in a minute and show you. But in the end, what happened is he decided to give me more than half my money back so I could buy new tubes and parts to fix it, because I really did want the amp, because I needed something that I could use that puts out more power than the Courier amp on 10 meters. It'll take 3 to 4 watts of drive coming from the Courier, so this will work perfect. Plus, it has a receive preamp that it'll bump up the receive. And this Courier definitely needed some more receive gain. These old Tubmans for like the 11 and 10 meter band, they need more gain anyway on the receive, and this will give it some extra gain. It'll compensate for the lack of gain this thing has. But let me take the cover off and I'll show you what it looks like, and I'll show you where the smoke came from. Okay, it's a very simple clean amp. There's not much to it. It does have a lot of capacitors, and stuff, but there's where the smoke came from. And I rubbed my finger. It didn't damage the PC board. That'll all clean off. I'll just take some acetone, and what I'll do is I'll take the capacitors off. I'll throw it in the dishwasher upstairs and get all the rest of the junk off after I clean it with some acetone first, and that way it'll be good. I'm going to replace the divider resistors, and I've already ordered these caps. I've ordered all the caps over here. I've ordered all new transistors for it too, for the preamp and the relay control. And it had a pair of 6MJ6s in it, although I have not checked to see what tubes are in here, but I ordered some new tubes. And I found some Jan, two new ones, I guess, with the same date codes, Jan Phillips tubes, late model military grade tubes. They're the 6E. They're not GEs, but they're 6JE6Cs is what they are, which is the same thing as a 6MJ6. And it's the same thing as the 6QLF6 or whatever it is. There's 3 tubes that are all identical, and this is one of them. But these are the ones that put out the most power. This is GE's data sheet, but I've got the military Phillips coming. They're basically military Sylvanias, new old stock, so I'm going to replace those. The tubes, believe it or not, were like $89 a piece. So I thought, well, so I talked to the guy. I was going to send the thing back for a full refund, but after I thought about it, I said, you know what? If you give me this much money back so I can buy all the parts to fix it, we'll just call it even. So he refunded me that amount of money that I wanted. So now I can, it's basically it's exactly what I needed to cover the price of replacing all the parts. I've already ordered everything, and it came out just about maybe $5 off from what I asked him back for. So it's going to work out. I mean, I could actually fix this thing, but I think what happened is, and it also came, believe it or not, when I publish this online, it'll make people happy, because this is the exact same amp as the Firebird 100. It's identical. I think probably the same company made them for both Astro and for Firebird. You know, probably, it was probably the same manufacturer that made them, so it's the identical amp. But look at this. This is the stuff that nobody's ever been able to find, the actual paperwork on it. And it's even has the schematic. I mean, look at this. It even has the schematic, and I've already scanned this, and I've already got it wrapped up into a PDF, and I'm going to put it online. I'm going to put it on my website with some pictures in the article or story on this, or the information. And anyway, but I think what happened is, if you look at the paperwork, it says do not put more than 4 watts max into it, because you could short the keying transistor. And I think when I turned it on, I heard the relay key, which meant this main relay, which throws the high voltage on the tubes. And chances are one or both tubes are shorted, because some CBer at some point probably drove too much power into it. So when I turned it on, it was shorted, which is why the cap smoked. So it wasn't on long enough though to blow the fuse, but you should have seen it. I mean, the smoke was filling up the entire shack down here. So I immediately turned it off, unplugged it, let the smoke go away. Then after I talked to the guy, I pulled it off and I saw where the smoke came from, and I know where it is. I mean, I know that that's what happened. So, and luckily, you know, what it tells me is the high voltage was fine because the cap smoked. So the high voltage was on it. But I think that's what happened. The relay, when I pull this board out to change that transistor, it'll probably, I'm going to test it over here on my tester, and I'm sure that the transistor shorted, which kept the high. Basically what happened is the high V was on it when I powered it on, because the relay, I'm pretty sure I heard it click, and that's what happened. And because there was no drive going into it or anything, if these tubes are even, you know, if they're shorted, it's going to load the output of the supply down, which is going to do that. So this thing is, it's going to be an easy fix to get it going. So I'm kind of happy with it. It's, you know, it was a cheap amp back in its days. It's not the greatest of quality, but it's a very clean design. And there's enough room where I can even put a fan in this thing if I want. So I'll probably add a fan to it eventually to help a little bit of quiet fan. And there's some holes see those holes around the base of the tube socket plate? If you look on the bottom side of the chassis, there's some big holes in the bottom. I can mount a fan on the bottom of this thing to blow it through those holes. So that would probably help. So when I get all the parts replaced and get the new tubes in it and get it going, I'll do another video. But this is going to be my amp for 10 meters. I mean, it's already getting close to the end of March. It's it's about the middle of March here now. And another, you know, 15, 20, 30 some odd days, maybe by the first part, middle of April, the 10-meter band's going to start dying. I think that the activity is already diminished now, because the band is starting, you know, it's going to shut down for the summer. It might open sporadically, which it does do when the solar activity is going good. So there might be some openings this summer, but I want to get on here and use this thing one more time, because I haven't been on 10 meters now, and it's been at least 8 or 9 weeks. I got sick, and I've got the Yaesu amp that I bought, and I decided I don't want to put a driver amp. I don't want to run 3 amps. I don't want to run a smaller amp driving the Yaesu, and the Yaesu needs more power, the FL100B. So I'm going to save that for a backup for my Meritron amp. So, but like I said, I'll post an update on this thing when I get it all restored. It's going to be easy. I have all the parts coming. I don't think they're all going to be here by this weekend. I think the remaining parts are supposed to arrive sometime like early next week. So maybe by that weekend, I'll have time to take it upstairs and do my layout there on that kitchen island with it covered up, and I'll just pull all the parts out and I'll get it going. Probably take me just a weekend to do it. That's if I need any more parts, any more resistors I think might be bad, then I might have to wait another week to get those parts in if I don't have any in stock. But this is it's in beautiful condition. I mean, it just needs to be cleaned up good, and it's not too shabby. It was an inexpensive amp. It's the same thing as the Firebird F100. So when I post the information online, what I'll probably do is I'll probably label it Astro M200 / Firebird F100, so they can find that schematic, because people have been looking for the schematics and they don't exist. Nothing's online. Nobody has the paper copies anymore. But since this thing had been put back in the box after a short time use, You know, I've got the original paperwork, which is, that's like the holy grail of this stuff. You can't find this paperwork, so that'll make other people happy. So that's all for now. I just kind of want to show it off. Got another little toy, and it'll be better because I can set the Demco audio compressor box on top of this, and it's black on black, and then I can put my D104 back up, because I didn't know how I was going to do this. I thought about putting the Demco box over here somewhere else on the station setup and do it that way, but it's better if I just put it here on top of this amp, and that'll work better anyway, probably. So that's all for now. 73, as this is W5HRO.